to the Bernice Van Eck Show.
Thank you so much, Bernice, and thank you for inviting me to speak about certainly what is my favourite subject matter on earth. So
you are so welcome. So Catherine, how did you get involved with Pangolin Africa?
Well, I've worked in the conservation space for many years, as you mentioned, and about 2 years ago I realised that my heart really lay with species conservation specifically. And I heard about the plight of the African pangolin. I couldn't believe it when I heard the stats about, up to 300 pangolins a day are poached from the wild. And that's 1 every 5 minutes, so the situation is certainly spiraling out of control. I think once you've looked into the face of a pangolin, your life will never be the same again, and I had that experience.
Really. And The Eye of the Pangolin is a groundbreaking new documentary which has just been released on World Endangered Species Day on the 17th of May. And I watched it last night.
Oh, really? Did you?
And I have to say, I cried my eyes out. It was really the most touching movie, and really does raise awareness for this beautiful, innocent little animal that is being poached. I mean, one cannot believe that such an innocent thing, creature, should I say, is used for medicinal purposes. So it was a very powerful documentary, and really did hit a couple of sore spots in one's heart, but also made me aware of all these different people all over Africa that are places I've never even heard of, and I didn't even know there were 4 different types of pangolins.
That's right. Well, there are 8 species in the world. 4 African and 4 Asian species. The 4 African species are considered to be vulnerable in terms of the IUCN's red data list, and the 4 Asian species are critically endangered. So what's happened is that the Asian species have pretty much been poached to extinction, and unfortunately now, because of the huge demand from the Asian traditional Chinese medicine trade, they're moving across to Africa now to basically be able to meet the demands of that trade. A lot of people working, unfortunately, in the bushmeat trade. So the bushmeat trade in Africa has been around forever. That in itself is not really threatening the sustainability of pangolins. It's unfortunate, but it can still be sustainable in terms of pangolin numbers, but it really is the poaching that is now becoming the biggest challenge, that is really pushing this little species to the edge of extinction. And of course, the biggest thing we need to do is we need to work with government to change legislation. And even in South Africa, we always say that we have some of the best environmental legislation in the world, but it isn't often enforced, and that's one of the biggest challenges we face. That's where education is so important.
Yes,
and also working with government around community projects that can offer people alternatives, sustainable alternatives in terms of projects and livelihoods that won't lead to the demise of the species.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
knowledge is
The
key.
African pangolin, which we really want them to see as their natural heritage,
Yes.
as a resource of Africa. This belongs to us. We need to protect it because our pangolins have been stripped from our continent, and this is a species that we're blessed enough to have on our continent.
Yes.
Yet they've been taken away from us to foreign countries where they're being used and abused. And we do certainly want kids to grow up with a love for the species. I mean, Bernice, you mentioned that you watched the film last night, and I think it's impossible to watch it without falling in love with this very special
I tell you
creature.
what, it was I was like, I want one of those.
A little bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah, it was amazing. I say, took the words out of my mouth. They're very, very secretive. But they're so beautiful, because I always thought that they walked on all 4 legs. They don't.
No.
They walk on their back legs, and they are just the cutest things you've ever seen. They really, really are. And they live on termites and ants.
That's right, yeah. So their diet really is made up exclusively of termites and ants. They are fitted with the most incredible parts of their anatomy. They have extraordinarily long tongues.
Yes, I saw that. And also, if they don't like the taste of something, they actually tie their tongues in a knot.
That's right, and they slide the knot down the length of their tongue
It's amazing.
to actually get that whatever that offending substance off the edge of their tongue.
It's incredible to see. Yeah.
They also have an incredible sense of, and they feed up to 70 times a night. So
Wow.
they're
That's
very
more than me.
It's an exhausting business being a pangolin.
Eat and sleep. And
That's right.
And I did also notice, and they're not like any other animal or mammal on the planet that when someone tries to take them or touch them, they curl up into a little ball, and that's how the poachers actually get hold of them. So they don't fight back like a normal animal, they curl up in a little ball, and it's very, very, it looks sweet, but it's sad to see because they just literally can pick them up and put them in wires and off they go to the trade.
That's right. It's a natural defensive position. It's incredible how rolling up into that ball with their shell, their body armor, if you like, of scales, it makes them, it gives them incredible protection against all their predators, all their natural predators except man.
Right.
Even lions can't, they play with them like a football. They kick them and they try and unravel them, but they can't. But unfortunately, as you say, Bernice, they literally, man literally picks them up and pops them into a sack.
Yeah, they literally, Tabitha, look like a little ball. It's incredible.
A little soccer ball sort of thing. Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of research about conservation and what's happening at the planet on the planet at the moment, and I know that we're heading for our 6th mass global extinction that's coming up, and I'm sure you've been aware of this. So the pangolin as well as anteaters are also have a major part to play in our ecosystem. So if they get extinct, it is going to be catastrophic for us. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So people don't always appreciate the value of every single creature on Earth. Every animal, every plant is placed here for a reason. And being so small and so unknown, a lot of people don't realize the ecological value that pangolins have in the bigger sort of ecosystem picture. Pangolins are Earth's natural gardeners. They prevent termites and ant populations from blossoming out of control. Without them being part of the ecosystem, and if they were removed, if they continue to be removed at the rate at which they are being removed now, we will note a significant change in our landscape from all our natural foliage, which is eaten by ants and termites, being removed. And this will not only become evident in the Kalahari areas, in the savanna areas where pangolins are found, importantly also in the rainforests. And there was a study done, which is referred to also in the film, in Venezuela, where a valley was flooded to build a dam. And all the populations of animals were removed, and except that the leafcutter ants remained, and they stripped the natural foliage bare of all the greenery, of everything that ants and termites eat. And this is a study that's been done, and so we can almost say it's documented now that the role pangolins play is so critical. Just because we can't see them, or we don't have enough scientific research done to understand their full role that they play in the ecology, we know that certainly without them there would be a significant change in our natural environment as we know it.
Exactly. I mean, we need trees for paper and all kinds of other things, and all the wildlife that lives in those trees. I mean, every single animal, mammal, insect, everything plays a part in the ecosystem.
Yes,
and
right.
it will just set, which is already starting, a monumental shift for global extinction. Sad as it is, but that is the fact of the matter. One topic that I really want to talk about, and I've recently just returned from Israel, and I was working with some cancer patients there, and I was interviewing a world-renowned doctor in orthomolecular medicine, and I know for a fact that how to heal cancer cells, because I healed myself with cancer, and it's through nutrition and a state of having a positive mind. So I was completely blown away, and I still cannot get over the fact that man has been programmed to believe that an animal's body parts can save and cure cancer and lactation issues. I mean, there's no scientific proof. Catherine, where is this information coming from that people believe that cutting up animals and using their scales can cure human illnesses and diseases?
You know, it's such a tricky issue, because the whole belief in traditional Chinese medicine for curing ailments, it's so deeply ingrained in the culture. It goes back centuries and centuries, and as Westerners, it's so easy for us to say, and I've said on many occasions, why can't they just stop killing rhinos and elephants and using lion bones and using pangolin scales? It's not that easy. When your parents have believed something, when their parents, and for generations before, you've been brought up to believe, to really believe in the healing benefits of these natural resources, so be it the scales of a pangolin or a lion bone, it's really difficult to change that, to actually shift people's understanding. Education, sure, it starts with education, but it's going to take decades to change those
It
perceptions.
really is embedded. So we basically have to, people need to unlearn what they've already
They have
learned.
to unlearn, and I think what we're learning so much as we're going along, as we're meeting different organisations involved in pangolin conservation and importantly in education. But the one thing I was told very recently by a Chinese man who was in Cape Town actually for a conservation and a tourism conference is that you need to be careful about not to tell the people who speak into the audience, the Chinese particularly and Vietnamese people, you can't tell them they're wrong and that they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
They don't respond to that. Understandably, I mean, you're effectively insulting their whole culture. So
Yes.
you need to go in with alternatives. You need to have a different approach that it's about explaining the value of this creature alive and in its natural environment where it belongs. And everything has a role, no matter how small. And I think as humans, we often get a bit full of ourselves and think that we are the top of the food chain and lion hunting industry, who make millions and millions and millions of US dollars every year by having particularly American hunters come over and pay for the pleasure, inverted commas, of shooting a lion that's released from a cage.
Yes, because it is time now to really shake everybody and say, wake up guys, this is serious.
Pangolins don't have much time.
No,
really.
no.
I mean, if you just stop to think about it, one pangolin every 5 minutes. It is singularly the most poached wildlife species on Earth.
I still got puffy eyes from crying last night. I was like, oh my gosh. But that is reality. I mean, it's one thing, most of us bury our heads in the sand and not wanting to know about what really is going on. And it's gonna affect the entire planet if these animals go into extinction. That is the fact of the matter. There's no way getting around it.
No, there's no way. And even the whole ecological value aside, it would be a tragedy for us to lose yet another species. And particularly as well, and I'm sorry to go back to this is part of our African heritage. It is our natural resource, and I can't, I mean, it's so difficult working in the conservation space to watch people who are not in that space be so relaxed about it and not, they think, well, other people must do something about it, or they think, well, what does one more species matter if we lose one more species? It's critical that we do all wake up and that we do all care about.
And I just wanted to ask you, how old is the pangolin? It's something like millions of years old.
Pangolins.
No, it's like dinosaur
Good
age.
They are. Pangolins have been around for over 40 million years.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
And that is why it would really be, I think, an embarrassment to humanity if our generation allowed the species to become extinct.
Yeah.
I've got goosebumps. 40 million years,
That's
guys,
right.
and we
That's a big.
are about to have this animal go extinct. That's pretty
It's
hectic.
frightening.
Very, very scary. It's
So-
raising awareness and to spread the word around. I'm getting all emotional.
Yes.
Powerful.
What was important for us is that we made a film that didn't leave people feeling hopeless and just in a state of despair. We wanted to create opportunities, real opportunities for people to make a difference. The very first thing that I would encourage all your listeners to do is tonight, tomorrow night, this weekend, plan to get together with a group of friends, make a bowl of popcorn, pour yourself a glass of wine or cup of tea or whatever your pleasure is, and sit down and watch the film. It's only 45 minutes. There are no ads, so it's ad break free.
Thank goodness.
And it is pure entertainment. It's really got everything, and you will walk away changed. I think once you've steamed into that eye, the eye of the pangolin,
Correct.
something in your world will just shift. It is a beautiful film, and once you've watched it, then you have a responsibility.
Catherine, thank you so much for you being on the show today and for coming to share your amazing knowledge about the pangolin. And thank you to you and your team at Pangolin Africa. This is a shout out for you guys.
Thank you.
I'm so grateful as a human sitting here right now to have people like you that are helping support our planet and the pangolin to stop it from going to global extinction. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you guys are doing. Awesome, awesome, awesome job.
It's an absolute pleasure, and just to be able to tell people about what we're doing and to encourage them to get involved and to not just sit back and think it's someone else's problem. There really is a place and a space for everyone to do something.
Yeah.
And just start by watching the film Eye of the Pangolin. It's on YouTube. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much.